very good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Thursday, the day of Thor. You know that's where the days of the week come from, right? Monday is the day of Moon. That's where it comes from. Tuesday is actually from, what is it, Martes? I have to think in other languages. It's Mars. So Monday is Moon. Tuesday was for Mars. Wednesday was for Mercury. And Thursday was for the god Thor. That's where you didn't know that. Now you know. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, who knows all about these mythological type things, will tell you, isn't that the truth? It comes from the Greek mythology. Monday
Yeah.
was to celebrate Moon. Tuesday was to celebrate, it's Martes. I have to go in Spanish.
I'm
Martes
sitting
is
here
Mars.
shouting out the answer behind the scenes. Mars, Mars,
And
Mars.
miércoles is for Mercury, and
Mhm.
Thursday, that's for Thor. Friday is Viernes for Venus. Saturday is the Sabbath, and Sunday is Domenica, Domingo. So where did Sunday come from?
I
What's
have
the
to ask
Lord's Day?
AI.
That's where it is. It's
Oh, that's
Dominus.
right. Dominus,
Domingo,
Dominus,
Dominus,
of
the
course.
Lord's Day.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, that's why in Portuguese, when the days of the week were named for all of Europe, Portugal refused to name the names of the week, the days of the week, after mythological or Greek gods. So
Hmm.
in Portuguese, Sunday is the first day of the week. They called it feira,
Ah,
which means God's day. Tuesday is segunda-feira, meaning the second. There you go. Because they won't call it
look at that.
Mars's day. And okay, I'll shut
Yeah.
up now. Go ahead. Hi.
This
How
is,
you doing,
this is
Mike?
all fascinating stuff. All fascinating stuff. Things you could do when you lose power this evening from the storms, and you could just sit
Yeah.
there and think of the days of the week in different,
Where's that Rosato
uh,
when we need him? Not.
well, there are some storms on the way later today, Ken. You heard a few rumble through southern New Jersey last night, but today, a bit more activity coming through. See that bright shade of yellow encompassing all of New Jersey and really most of the Northeast? So there's a slight risk of severe storms, and usually when this occurs this early in the day, the forecast changes and jumps to the next color, which is orange, or the enhanced risk, and that likely happens probably by 3 or 4 o'clock today. Reason for that? All the heat. Heat alerts are up. The hot weather is upon us. You feel the stuffiness outside, the muggy air. Heat advisory makes it feel like 95 to 100 this afternoon. Right now, the storms are well off to our west, really packing a punch across the Midwest, but as they arrive to the Northeast, giving us our 15 to 20 degree above normal temperatures, it's going to be really, really warm later today. So we're not the only ones. Most of the eastern half of the country stays warm today. And with that, we have this threat of severe storms, not just today, but also again tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow is even more of an elevated chance because it comes along a front, and that typically provides very gusty winds, very similar to what happened this past Saturday with those gusty winds racing through the state, ending by Friday evening. So when they come through, right when the peak heat of the day happens, Friday afternoon, tomorrow later in the day, yeah, it could pack a punch. And then it clears out beautifully for the weekend. So we are on tap for a gorgeous weekend, all weekend long. Lower humidity, lots of sun. Just have to deal with the very, very sticky weather outside this morning. We'll tell you all about it coming up in a few minutes with a complete check of your forecast, Ken. That's in just a bit.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. Here, as we take a look, let's take a look at what's going on in terms of traffic, and we got a lot of it. Oh, we should mention 71 degrees northern New Jersey already, 73 in Trenton. In Los Angeles right now, 69 degrees and 69 degrees in San Diego. Let's check the roadways for you. First off, there's a building fire reported Route 9W. Pam was just asking, is 9W different from 9? Yes, 9 is on the New York side. 9W is the New Jersey / Rockland side. So they run parallel along the Hudson River, but 9W is on the west side of the Hudson as opposed to the east. So 9W in Palisades Avenue, Englewood Cliffs. So that would be up near the GW Bridge. And right now we have a building fire. It's a big one, and that is causing all lanes to be closed. So if you would take 9W up near the Palisades Avenue area, so that's again near the Rockland border, lanes are closed now on 9W, and that's a major roadway. People use that a lot as an alternate on the New York / Rockland side. There's a crash right now on the turnpike, not far from there. In fact, I'm wondering if it's connected. And this is in Leonia. Left lane is blocked at exit 71. Traffic signal down Route 37, and that is eastbound by Colonial Drive in Manchester. All lanes are open. We have a gas main break. That's not good, and that's on Route 36 southbound, south of Route 4. Palmer Avenue, Middletown, the right lane of 2 lanes closed there. Your approach to the Hudson River right now, approaches, the Lincoln Tunnel approach is really ugly. This is the Holland. Let's do this first. Holland Tunnel, this is Route 139, making your way from Route 78. You can see on the right side, the stopped cars, if you can make that out, above Rider University. See those stopped cars there? Those are the ones going into the tubes. The ones on the left are going to local roads in Jersey City. That's why they could move. But the ones on the right are not moving. So it's now 45 minutes in at the Holland Tunnel. If we get a second, we can we'll switch over to the GWB. But I'll tell you about the Lincoln. That's 30 to 35, and the GWB. We have our GWB cam back. Upper and lower levels now going to cost you about 30 minutes, which is not too bad, and that's mostly because of the lower level on the left. That'll get you in at 30. It's about 35 in the upper level where the trucks are. In California, the only things we really have to tell you about, we have a couple of minor collisions, no injuries, thankfully. There's one in East LA on the 5 at Atlantic Boulevard off ramp. There's another one in Central LA on Normandy Avenue on ramp. And then there's a collision, unknown injuries. This is in Newhall at the 5 and Templin Highway. Well, they are just one win away from being called the 2026 NBA champs. I'm not a basketball fan, and I got into this. It's being called one of the most amazing playoff final games in history. The Knicks beat the Spurs last night, winning game 4 of the best of 7 final series at the Garden. The Spurs dominated much of the game and certainly much of the fourth quarter until the last minute or so when the Knicks came back, and they came back strong. The teams going back and forth, each one topping the other by a point. It was like, you're up a point. No, you're up a point. No, you're up a point. It was like Oprah giving out points. But the Knicks outlasted the Spurs by a point. Final score, an amazing 107 to 106 New York. The Knicks now lead the final series 3-1. They could wrap it all up with a win Saturday night in San Antonio. Go Knicks. And again, not a big basketball fan, but you know greatness when you see it. And I don't know if that was the grace of God, the fingers of the Lord helping them out, or if it was just flat out luck. But either way, it was an amazing end to that game. Even, like I said, I was mesmerized by that. You had to be. 707 East Coast, 407 West. The U.S. bombed 20 Iranian targets in response to Iran's downing of a U.S. Apache helicopter Monday near the Strait of Hormuz. Fortunately, both pilots survived. But President Trump had vowed retaliation. Iran responded to our bombing now by launching ballistic missiles and attack drones targeting American military installations across the region. They were not successful. We shot them down. Trump says that Iran has taken too long to negotiate a deal and will pay the price, warning the U.S. will continue to hit them hard if they do not cooperate. But like I said yesterday, Mr. President, crap or get off the pot. Don't keep threatening them. If you're going to do it, do it. And it feels like he's being talked to by military analysts who are being a little overcautious. We'll see. It is 8 minutes past. President Trump responded to new inflation data showing consumer prices rising at an annual rate of 4.2%. That's a little higher. By arguing the increase is tied to U.S. actions against Iran during the ongoing conflict there, Trump claimed the U.S. has been secretly seizing millions of barrels of Iranian oil and said those operations contributed to higher oil prices. He maintained that he loves, quote, the inflation, and claims that energy costs will fall sharply. In other words, he's saying he loves inflation now because he feels that it makes the contrast later when we release all the oil. You'll see all the energy prices, thus all the prices for everything drop. And so he likes inflation now in order to show the contrast. But people are misreading that as a rich guy being mean against poor people. But I don't think that's not what the intention was there. Honda recalling more than 880,000 vehicles in 23 states and Washington, D.C. due to corrosion in the rear subframe that could lead to suspension failure and increase the risk of a crash. Yeah, if the suspension goes, you'd have a crash. That makes sense. Affected vehicles include certain Honda Pilot, Ridgeline, Passport, and Acura MDX models from 2014 through 2023. The issue is most common in states that use road salt during winter. We tend to use brine a lot. But that's road salt. So as that salt splashes up, if the undercarriage isn't treated, it rots, and that's what ends up happening. Honda estimates only about 1% of recalled vehicles have the defect. Owners will be notified if they are the affected vehicle. Beginning July 7th, dealerships will inspect, repair, or replace any affected components. Of course, it'll be done free of charge. 10 minutes past the hour now. And new federal test results show encouraging signs of recovery among America's 9-year-olds who have regained pre-pandemic reading levels. Took a few years, though. They've made significant gains in math since 2022. Improvements were especially strong among lower performing students, children from lower income households, Black students, and students with disabilities. However, 13-year-olds have shown little to no academic recovery, raising concerns about the lasting effects of pandemic disruptions. Now, I read one study that showed it is believed that because of the huge influx of children from third world countries such as China and India, where math is like religion and they all do well, no matter how poor they are. And those children coming in by the millions into the United States, many legally, many illegally, regardless, they're in school and they get counted. And that has had an impact. That they basically, there's a skew on the numbers because Asian students, India for the most part, and China are such incredible math students. They've actually raised the scores of Americans. That's why math. So in other words, did American students get better at it? Probably not. It's probably due to them coming in and skewing the numbers. But of course, more studies have to be done. And of course, people on the left don't want to look at the specifics of race and ethnicity. So they just lump everybody in if it makes them look better. And by the way, that's also to the right with the current administration. So experts also point, by the way, to chronic absenteeism, declining recreational reading, and increased screen time as continuing challenges affecting student achievement nationwide. A lot of kids playing on the phone, not reading books. Got to do that. And speaking of Palisades, let's go to the West Coast and their Palisades. Opening statements are beginning in the federal trial of Jonathan Rinderknecht, the man accused of starting the January 2025 Los Angeles Palisades fire, the most destructive wildfire in LA City history. In fact, I have pictures from when I was out there. I'll show them next week. You could see the charred landscape still. Prosecutors allege he intentionally set a small fire in the Santa Monica Mountains that smoldered underground before erupting into a massive blaze that killed 12 people and injured many more, and destroyed nearly 7,000 structures. Rinderknecht has pleaded not guilty. He claims somebody else caused the initial fire. The trial, expected to last weeks, could be shedding light also on how the disaster began specifically, though broader questions about firefighting efforts and government response may remain unsolved. But bottom line is LA and many on the left on the West Coast in California stopped doing fire prevention techniques like removing dead underbrush because of environmental reasons. Now you had all this dead flammable material. All you need is a spark and poof, you have the fire. And the reason we say that is places where they still clear their brush don't have these fires. Pretty logical. And we didn't have the fires before. 13 minutes past, the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool in Washington, D.C. is being refilled after a $14.2 million restoration project aimed at fixing longstanding leaks and improving water quality there. President Trump praised the project, though previous renovations have also only temporarily solved problems before the leaks and algae returned, but hopefully we're doing it right this time. The work included applying a new waterproof coating and repairing structural joints, but some experts worry that aging underground pipes may feed the pool that feed the pool have not yet been fixed. Officials plan additional pipe repairs later in the year, and the coming summer months will test whether the latest restoration can withstand the heat, algae growth, and all the stresses of being there. And finally, the 2026 FIFA World Cup begins today with opening matches in Mexico, marking the start of the world's largest cup in history. A record 48 national teams will compete across the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, and 104 matches over the next 6 weeks. We have our starting Saturday in New Jersey. The U.S. men's national team opens play Friday night against Paraguay. The final match will be held at MetLife Stadium. Of course, it's called New York, New Jersey Stadium when we have FIFA, July 19th, right here. Adding to the excitement for local fans, Governor Sherrill and the FIFA World Cup 2026 New York New Jersey host committee announced more than 750 free tickets for Jersey residents. The tickets will be distributed to youth soccer players from underserved communities, military families, first responders, nurses, pediatric patients, and other community groups. An additional 70 tickets will be available through the Welcome World Rewards program, which encourages support for local businesses and for community events. It is 15 minutes past the hour right now, and you are watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. When we return, a New Jersey family is receiving an outpouring of support as they work to provide mobility and independence for their young daughter. We're coming right back. Ken Rosato, it is Thursday. We're live in New Jersey and New York, and now we welcome Los Angeles at 17 minutes past the hour, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta. And Mike, it is going to be hot, mid-90s for
Yeah.
the
Ye
Northeast and cooler in California than that. So go to LA if you want to be
Sure.
nice and cool in your summer, almost summer.
Exactly, exactly. You see the dew on the windows this morning. So humid or out and about town, and yet that is just the beginning of what will be a very hot stretch of days, taking us into tomorrow as well. We also have some thunderstorms on tap each afternoon. Today's storms beginning probably as soon as 2 or 3 o'clock. So a little bit of early morning clear sky giving way to some clouds. The pollen sky high yet again, back into the high or very high levels for trees, trees, and trees, grasses, and weeds. And then as we head into the weekend, that clears beautifully as the dry weather takes over. Well, it's still hot on Saturday, just not as stubbornly humid. But I think by Sunday evening, could have another round of showers and storms come through, clearing the way for some cooler weather. It's like another step down into cooler territory by Monday and Tuesday. But beyond that, we have those storms on the way for later today. This front that sweeps through tomorrow evening will give us those storms tomorrow later in the day. And then when that passes, we have all this clear real estate to enjoy for the day on Saturday. But Sunday has another round of storms that comes through later on in the day. And when that moves through, we have drier weather that takes over to start off next week with much cooler conditions on the way. So beyond a little bit of early morning cloud cover, it clears out today, but that is where the heat begins. Temperatures feeling like 95 to 100 degrees, Ken. One of our hottest so far this spring.
Well, I'll take 100 and 150 degree. Oh, did I say 150? No. Yeah. Well, look, yeah, this is what we get. You get the cold days in the winter, you
Mhm.
get the hot days, and we're not even
Yeah,
in summer yet, but we're summer
not even
adjacent.
yet. Hmm.
So, it is
Summer
what it is.
adjacent.
All right, sir.
That's right.
We appreciate you as always. It's perfect room temperature out in northern New Jersey right now, 72 degrees. We have a temp of 73 degrees in Trenton. Cape May is only 69, a little cooler there. To Los Angeles at 67 degrees and 66 degrees now in San Diego. Checking traffic for you. We do have some issues right now in the Garden State Parkway. There's a disabled on the GSP Express lanes northbound south of the John Bon Jovi service area, Old Bridge. All lanes are open. Not a major problem. They're just a little tap of the brake. We have a traffic signal down, and that is on Route 37 eastbound at Colonial Drive in Manchester. All lanes open there. Just got this in on I-80. There is a disabled truck westbound at exit 54, Minnesink Road, Totowa. The right lane is closed there. Route 9W, we have a building fire in both directions, Palisades Ave and Englewood Cliffs. All lanes are closed. Over to Route 36, there's a gas main break on 36 southbound south of Route 4, Palmer Avenue, Middletown. The right lane is closed there, and your approaches to the Hudson River, approach to the Holland right now is bumper to bumper. This is on the left or in the middle. You see in the middle there under or above the 888-658. Those are the lanes that are stopped. That takes you right into the middle tube or the right tube, I should say. There's no middle tube. There are only two tubes for the Holland Tunnel. But that's going to cost you about 40 minutes in. Lincoln Tunnel's about 35. GWB, upper and lower levels right now. Your better bet is going to be the lower level. Either way, it's going to be about 40 minutes in. Upper is on the right, lower is on the left. To Los Angeles, a few things to tell you about. There's a fire now reported. Central LA at the 110 and the 10, so where they intersect. Also, there's a traffic collision, Baldwin Park, and that is at Foothill Boulevard near the 57. And we have a traffic collision now in East LA on the 5 at Triggs Street. 21 minutes past the hour. And a New Jersey family is receiving an outpouring of support as they work to provide mobility and independence for their young daughter. 3-year-old Ellie Cooper of Boonton is living with cerebral palsy and other disabilities. And while a wheelchair accessible van would definitely help, it is not covered by insurance, which is just ridiculous to read, but that is the case. Because why would you need to get around to your medical appointments if you're in a wheelchair? Makes no sense. To help bridge the gap, community members have been great. They have rallied around Ellie with Help, Hope, Live, an organization that already raised thousands of dollars toward their goal. And joining us now are Ellie and her mom, Stephanie Hoffman Cooper, with more. Good morning, Ellie. Good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning.
Great to
So good
have you on.
morning.
How you doing, Stephanie? How you doing, Ellie? Hi, Ellie. I love Ellie's wave. Stephanie, tell us what a special person Ellie is and talk about her diagnosis for us.
Ellie is just the best. She has been through it all. She was born at 26 weeks in Morristown, where she had the very best care and has had fantastic care since. So, therefore, she is definitely thriving. But unfortunately, being born that early does come with some complications like the cerebral palsy and some genetic conditions that have left her with physical and medical challenges. She's a primary wheelchair user. That's how she gets around. It's given her so much accessibility and freedom in the world. Unfortunately, it's a little hard to travel with. She does need that medical care on the road as well, and our vehicle does not allow for our nurses to travel with us, which makes trips as simple as going to school or a doctor's appointment or therapy or anything like that. It makes it very challenging. It's a lot of pulling over on the side of the road during medical emergencies or anything like that. And so we started, this campaign, and we're really grateful for all the support we've gotten so far.
I would bet a lot of people do not realize that wheelchair accessible vans are not usually covered by insurance, as if we all want to get one of those really cool looking wheelchair accessible vans for ourselves, right? I mean, that's the
Yeah.
stupidity in that. It's like, this isn't a luxury, this is a necessity.
Right. Yeah. It was a shock to us too. Thankfully, they did cover the wheelchair. Although, funny enough, they did not cover the transit hooks to hook into a vehicle, even public transportation or anything like that. A school bus wasn't able to be hooked in if we didn't pay out of pocket for the transit hooks ourselves. So they really just don't want her to go anywhere, apparently. It is unfortunate, and you are absolutely right. And that's where we are right now.
It's so antithetical to everything. It just makes absolutely no sense. So now, how challenging is it to get Ellie to her medical appointments the way it is now? Like, what do you have to go through? You talked about you have to stop occasionally, but so if the nurse would have to take a separate vehicle, or how does it work?
Correct. So I have 3 other children. If they are in the car with us, we can't fit the nurse at all. If I just have less than 3 of the children, then they sit in the front seat. And therefore, it's not safe for the nurse to be able to hop into the back seat while I'm driving.
Right.
And there's no space for them next to her because my other children are in car seats. So that's why if we were to get this van, this specific van actually that we're looking at, which is funny enough dubbed a budget-friendly vehicle, but it is still $80,000. It comes with a fold-down seat that would sit next to her for her caregiver, nurse, anyone to be able to keep her safe on the road.
And you could pile a whole family in too, I would imagine.
Yes.
I mean, whether it's right. So that's the way to do it in that case. You've already raised about $9,000, which is great news. Good community people helping out. I don't live far from you, by the way. I'm just a town away. You've already raised that good chunk of money, and that is through the group Help Hope Live. So, what has that meant to you to know that people stepped up and said, we're gonna help fix this?
It's been incredible. Actually, just in the last couple of days, we are now up to over $16,000. We are just, it's overwhelming in the best way to know. I know, it's so exciting. Do you see yourself on camera? It's just, we're incredibly grateful. Local businesses, friends, family, people we've never met before. Even national businesses have stepped up. The Yankees are one of our platinum sponsors. And our local Boot and Elks Lodge has opened their doors for us to be able to hold this. We are so unbelievably grateful. A lot of the Elks are going to be helping us out that day. I mean, just outpouring of love. And it's really hard to put it into words, honestly. It gets us teary a lot.
And you got a fundraiser coming up on Sunday. Talk about that.
Yes. So this has blown up from what was supposed to just be an auction and some family fun. We have loads of entertainment. We have tons of food and drinks. She's clearly very excited. She's singing all about it.
Well, tell us, tell us where it is, because I think a lot of people don't realize where and if they want to show up. Where is it?
Yes, so it's at the Boonton Elks Lodge. It's on 125 Cornelia Street in Boonton off of Main Street. It's a great big hall. Again, they opened the doors for us to host this event, and we're really excited. It's lots of family fun the whole day.
What time does it start, Steph? What time does that start?
It's from 2 to 6.
Okay, till 2 to 6 at the Elks in Boonton. Boonton's easy to get to, everybody. If you know 287, easy to get to. You know how to get to Boonton. It's great. And Boonton, by the way, is a great walking little downtown. So people should come to the fundraiser. Afterward, you can spend the rest of the evening or whatever up and down Boonton, up and down the hills. You get your walking steps in. It's a great town. Great town. How could people make a donation online if they want to? Do you guys have a website?
Yes, so actually on Help Hope Live is they have the campaign for us there that you can make a direct donation if you'd like. You can also register for the event right on that website as well.
Okay, so it's Help Hope Live, and it's this Sunday, 2 to 6. The Boonton Elks go and do the fundraiser. Ellie Cooper and Mom Stephanie Hoffman Cooper, you got your hands full. God bless you with a full family.
Thank you.
Yes, you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing Ellie's story. Come back, let us know how things work out and whatever we can do in the future. And God bless you. And I appreciate you sharing the story. But we hope that people keep coming up and helping you guys out. Thanks again.
Thank you. Give a kiss.
Mwah. Mwah.
Bye,
Thank you. Thank you, Ellie. Oh, melts your heart. It is 29 minutes past the hour. When we come back, our friend Tom Bergeron from binge.com, BINJE, will join us to talk about New Jersey community spirit, like the people helping those nice folks. And we'll take calls at 888-658-0234. We're coming back in 2 on this hot day in northern New Jersey. Very good morning. 31 minutes past the hour, Thursday, June 11th, 2026. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. We're live on the East Coast and the West Coast. If you want nice, cool weather this time of year, go to Southern California, where it's only in the 60s, 67 degrees there right now with overcast skies. It's due to their marine layer, as I found out last week. But if you want heat, you're in the right spot. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the forecast near you. Mike, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ken. Steam heat. It's one of those where you walk outside and your glasses fog up. You need a little windshield wipers on the front. That's how humid it's going to be, especially this morning with the high humidity translating to hotter weather and a heat index between 95 and 100. That's your feels like temperature later today. Couple clouds around this morning, but it turns clear and hot through the afternoon, and that sun works down and helps to form a few late day thunderstorms, some of which could be severe, rolling through New Jersey after 3 or 4 p.m. It's another hot and humid day tomorrow, probably hotter, and that's with the afternoon storms that wipe out any sort of humidity and heat for Saturday. It's still hot on Saturday, but I think giving the drier feel with the breeze from the north, it turns much clearer and feels much more comfortable even before Sunday, which has yet another round of storms. And that's that final push of cooler weather that breaks our heat and provides a pleasant feel going into the start of next week. So a couple rounds of storms, one here off to the west, another one in the Midwest, but it's the storms in the Midwest that are really creating some interesting features on the satellite picture. Look at how they're exploding here, showing those towering cloud tops there into the atmosphere and allowing for those big supercells to form. Like Ken said, out on the West Coast, cool as a cucumber, nice and dry with a very pleasant feel. Not much weather happening out there. There's that little marine layer starting off each morning only along the coast, and then you have a little bit of cloud cover moving in from the south. But beyond that, it is clear for the rest of the day into the weekend and stays dry with a lovely northerly breeze, keeping it cool and dry each afternoon and nice and warm too. It's that low humidity that just feels lovely this all year round there. But here across the East Coast, we obviously have a much different story. We'll talk more about when this heat breaks, when the humidity relaxes. It's all coming up with your weekend weather, Ken, in just a few minutes.
I just love the fact that you can go to Los Angeles to stay cool or come to New Jersey where there's heat. And I am tired of people saying when I go down to Florida in July, how could you take the heat in Florida in July? It's so hot. And I always point out, okay, it's going to be 99 degrees in New Jersey. It's going to be 86 degrees in Fort Lauderdale. So I don't know what the hell you're
Yeah.
talking about, but whatever. It is what it is. All right, Mike, thank you very much, sir. It's 734 East Coast, 434 West, 72 degrees Northern New Jersey, 73 in Trenton, it's 69 in Cape May, and 67 in Los Angeles. We have a quick check of traffic for you. Right now, we have issues on I-80. We have a disabled truck westbound at exit 54, Minnesink Road in Totowa. One right lane of 4 lanes closed. You can see the folks in the right lane there hitting their brakes as they come up on it. They're going to have to move over in just a little bit. Over to the GSP, brush fire, Garden State southbound, exit 143B. That's Maplewood in Irvington Township, or that's the exit that'll say Maplewood, Irvington, etc. All lanes are open there. Just avoid that. When you get off the exit, you're going to have people hitting their brakes. Over to Route 37, traffic signal down eastbound Colonial Drive in Manchester. All lanes are open though. We have a building fire 9W, and that is in both directions that are impacted. That's Palisade Avenue, Englewood Cliffs. All lanes are currently closed on 9W through there. There's a gas main break, Route 36, southbound south of Palmer Avenue, Middletown. The right lane is closed. And then your Hudson River crossings right now, the approach to the Holland Tunnel is bumper to bumper. It's going to cost you 35 to 40 minutes in. Look at that. So look at the vehicles where it says 888, 658. Those are the vehicles going into the tube. And right now you got about 35 to 40, as we mentioned. That's on Route 139 approach coming off of I-78. Over to the Lincoln Tunnel, it's about 30 minutes in, and the GWB upper and lower, though it looks heavy, it's actually moving pretty well this morning. It's 35 minutes in, upper levels on the right, lower levels on the left. And just quickly to tell you about Los Angeles, a couple of incidents. We have a collision that just happened in West LA on 120th Street at La Cienega Boulevard. There's a hit and run, no injuries in West Valley on Riverside Drive at Fulton. And we have a crash that just happened on the 10 at North Grand Avenue. It is 36 minutes past the hour. New Jersey may be sandwiched between two of the largest cities in America, but it is full of great community people who live much more like the people in middle America, if you will. Tom Bergeron, our dear friend, he's the owner and editor-in-chief of Business in New Jersey Every Day. We call it Binge. We like acronyms, B-I-N-J-E, binge.com. He spent the week analyzing New Jersey's awesome community spirit. We say good morning to you, Tom.
Good morning, and congrats on what appeared to be an Estelle Costanza imitation. Very well done.
Thank you. You know, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law are huge Seinfeld fans, and they would give you a big hug and a kiss for saying that. So thank you very much, sir. Hey, the Cranford Theater, which is the coolest place to visit. What a great place. You were there. It's an historic business, and the folks who own it there have really restored it and made it amazing. So you were just there Monday. You checked out the sneak preview of Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day. We're going to ask about that in a moment. But it's more about the small business owner who impressed you. Talk about that.
So look, everybody says that they support small businesses. Here's an example that you can do that. This is a small community-owned theater by Doreen Sayas. She took over ownership from her father, who owned a number of small community theaters back in the day. She has completely refurbished it. You go there and you get what you get at the big places. We saw a sneak preview of Disclosure Day, which will be there this weekend. Toy Story 5 will be there this weekend. But more than that, it's not just pay your ticket to a big, global conglomerate, go in, eat popcorn. That costs like $100 for a barrel and go home. Doreen does unbelievable things there. She had a book signing. And then when she realized that there was a local school that needed books, she raised 500 books to bring them. In anticipation of Toy Story this weekend, she's asking people to bring in a free toy, and she's going to deliver those to the Children's Hospital. During the pandemic, right after she took over, she started driving theaters. So this is somebody that really, really gives back to the community. So if you want to go and enjoy a great movie in a great movie house and it's been completely refurbished, think about going to the Cranford Theater. No disrespect to the local AMC theater, but this is locally owned, and everything that she does goes back into the local community.
And if you ask any successful small business owner through history, that's what you have to do. You have to be part of the community. It's about give and take and helping organize people and doing charitable works. I mean, that's what makes us a society as opposed to just a cold business environment. There's the difference. Just an amazing thing that they're doing there, amazing things. Just have to ask, what was Disclosure Day like? Yes, no, you don't have
No,
to give
look,
details.
if you're of our generation and you've seen Close Encounters and you've seen E.T., you sort of walked away saying, this didn't seem to move the needle on that. And just from a media standpoint, there's a media event where you're like, this would never happen in the media world today. They took a little liberty with that. So it's fine. There's some cool scenes. There's some wonderful acting. There's some wonderful this and that. But, look, I'm going to see Toy Story 5, not Disclosure Day, if I have the choice this weekend.
Really? Oh, and I think maybe they overhyped it. You know, when you have that level of hype and it's Steven Spielberg, all of a sudden it's like, wah, wah. Well, interesting.
Well,
Good.
and
So
look, let's be clear. A lot of the movie was filmed in New Jersey, even though it doesn't necessarily say
right.
that. So you want to talk about good for small business. There's a lot of filming, a lot of local stuff, some stuff down south at Cape May. So the New Jersey scene benefited. That was one of the reasons why the New Jersey Film Commission and Doreen worked to get a screening there. So hats off to Spielberg, who's done a number of films in the state in a really booming business. So have to pass out a lot.
So you know what we do? We'll go and go and see it at a local theater and support the local business and say thank you to Steven Spielberg by spending a few bucks to go check it out. That's a very good point. Thank you for pointing that out. Now, on Tuesday, you attended an award ceremony and retirement party for the CEO, Bernie Flynn at Mercer Street Friends, great nonprofit. They help food insecurity, et cetera. So talk about that.
So it's another example of, look, if you want to have community spirit, you've got to give back. Anybody can point out problems, where you got a whole world of people who can point out problems. Mercer Street Friends identified there's food insecurity in Trenton. They have worked hard with Feeding America to solve those issues. Mercer Street Friends realized that there's a learning issue in Trenton. So they've created learning centers and exponentially increased the number of second and third graders that are reading at grade level, if not above grade level. And when you do that in a community, and Senator Turner was honored on that day, and she said, look, you can't learn on an empty stomach. So this is a great example of a nonprofit led by Bernie, which said, we're going to feed the people in our town so they come to school ready to learn, and then we're going to help them learn. And when you give them the opportunity to learn, when you show them that people believe in them and give them a little bit head start in the second, third grade, that's community impact. So it's great to identify problems, say, why can't we fix it? It's great to write a check. Okay, everybody takes that. But to be on the ground and doing what they do here at Mercer Street Friends for everything they're doing. And this is just one of many nonprofits that does this kind of work. I was at this event this week, and it's just wonderful to see New Jersey giving back. That's what New Jersey does. We care about our local communities. We care about home rule. And here's a case of an organization that really cares about Mercer County.
Now, you went to Harrison on Sunday for a friendly gathering at Sports Illustrated Stadium, final World Cup warm-up for Scotland. But is FIFA really helping small business? Because I know there's a lot of money supposedly coming from the state, but we're wondering, where did it all go? And are small businesses going to be
This
benefiting?
this has been the question. It's a $3 billion economic boost. Where is that? How is it? I know a lot of local hotel owners in North Jersey that are saying our rooms are still open, right? Everybody's going to New York. They don't want this to be a repeat of the Super Bowl where more of the money is spent in New York City. And let's be honest, more of the money is going to be spent in New York City. That's okay. If I'm coming internationally, I'm going to stay in New York City and not in New Jersey. But you hope there would be some spillover. So I was at the friendly with Scotland, and I just ran by a couple of local businesses. This is a completely unscientific binge poll. And, you walk into a nice Peruvian restaurant. They've got soccer everywhere. It's on TV. They've got everything up for the World Cup. It's a Saturday at about 7 o'clock. It's pretty much full. And I ask them, how you doing? They're like, usually we have a line out the door of 50 people. Today is slow. And ironically, all of the people coming to the area for this friendly that weren't used to it sort of clogged the traffic a little bit and maybe prevented some of the regulars. So look, New Jersey and the host committee are working hard to make sure that a lot of the money stays locally that comes to New Jersey. This is going to be the test the next 39 days on whether it does.
Yeah, you know what? I have made it my mission to just benefit New Jersey restaurants. No offense, New York, but I lived and worked in New York for much of my life, and I'm a New Jersey guy. So I can't tell you the last time I went into New York City and spent money at a restaurant there. I spend money on New Jersey restaurants, and they're fantastic. So Peruvian food, by the way, if you haven't tried it, kick butt. It's just fantastic food. The website is binge.com, BINJE, Binge, business in New Jersey every day. Our dear friend, owner and editor-in-chief, Tom Bergeron. Thank you so much for coming on this morning, Tom.
As always, my pleasure.
You bet. All right. It is 744 East Coast, 444 West. When we come back, President Trump ran on a promise of lowering gas prices. He said he would then lower the price of everything. Then we bombed Iran's nuclear facilities, and none of it happened. Gas is more expensive. The prices for everyday items have not come down. Well, News Nation's Elizabeth Pran, very much the pragmatist, she will join us to talk about it. Quickly, Google pragmatist. Meteorologist Mike Favetta says it's going to be hot in the Northeast, beautiful in the Southwest, and we'll take calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching Mornings. We're back in 2. It is 47 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. We are taking calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the forecast near you. And Mike, we were just talking about how gas prices are up, et cetera. And my folks on social media were quick to correct me. I have Instagram Live. We're streaming right now. And this 65 Gordo, I'll even show. We'll put him on. No, so it's not focused. But he's giving us prices. He's like, it's only $3.95 a gallon by me, and he says it's come down 15 cents in the last couple of weeks. Good for you, 65 Gordo. Thank you for just so you don't think I'm just making up phoniness. But that's interesting. I mean, that's anecdotal. That's one case. But I think we'll talk with Elizabeth about it in a moment. But I think the idea was people expected gas to be $1.99 a gallon by this point, and overall, all our prices to be lower. And I think that the Republican Party has some splaining to do. So we'll talk about that in a moment. Anyway, sorry, bow to you because I know you got a lot on your plate with the heat.
One of my favorite fun facts about the heat and gasoline is that because gasoline is measured by volume, gas expands in the heat. And so you're not actually getting all of the gas that you're paying for it, but it doesn't go as far because the volume expands as you're pumping it in the hot weather. I know, it stinks. It's all about the chemistry and the vapor pressure and the physics of how the heat goes. But yeah, I was pumping the other day and I'm like, wait a minute. My car doesn't usually take that much. Oh, because it's actually giving me a little bit less in the tank, but the measurement is higher because of the way the pump works. Anyway, regardless, it's going to be hot the next few days. So if you're maybe filling up, wait till Monday when it's a little bit cooler. You get a little more bang for your buck, especially with all the hot weather rounds on the way. First one arriving today, heat and humidity combined make it feel like 95 to 100. Then we get a few storms this afternoon, but I think the more severe storms will be tomorrow evening between 5 and 7 p.m. That comes through New Jersey. A dry day on Saturday. Still hot. We're in the 90s. But the real cool down comes by Monday. And with that, into Tuesday, these rounds of more pleasant air come in, allowing for a little bit of a cool down on the way. So the good news is it's not this prolonged heat that just lasts and lasts and lasts. We get a little bit of a break. Comes with a few storms each afternoon to start to cool us down. But again, it's that humid feel that will be present at least through tomorrow evening. Drier on Saturday. Sunday has another round of storms late in the day. And then once that moves by, the cool front finally does cool us down. We are forecasting average temperatures through the end of June, whereas all the heat is locked down toward the southeast U.S. and a little bit wetter than average conditions with that shade of green going right toward the coast. That's good news considering the drought is still ongoing, especially down in the southeast, Ken.
Thank you very much, sir. We're looking frantically for camera shots. We have a brush fire right now that was reported, and as you talk about, you've talked about the fact that no matter how much rain we've had of late, we are still in a bit of a drought, right?
Oh, we are, yeah, moderate to severe across at least the southern half of New Jersey.
Wow. So the fact that there is a brush fire reported in northern New Jersey shouldn't come as that much of a surprise because the ground is still kind of dry. And you get a couple of hot days, whatever little bit of moisture you have in that soil goes away, and boom, you get brush fires. So there
it's
you
also
have it.
been very dry. The humidity has been quite low, or the dew point, I should say, for the
Yes.
last few days, and that dries the ground out significantly.
I was in Brooklyn visiting friends yesterday, and in spite of the fact that it got cloudy and we even had a drizzle at one point, we never broke a sweat. You never felt it. And I thought that was odd. It was very dry for that. Well, I appreciate you, Mike. We got to talk more about the expansion of gas too. In the next break, we'll do that. But that had Pam and me with our mouths agape. Thank you. All right, 751 East Coast, 451 West. Quick check of traffic. A few things to tell you about. There's a crash on the Turnpike southbound. South of interchange 4, which is Mount Laurel, all lanes are open, just a little bit of a brake check. But let's go to the Garden State right now. There's a brush fire reported, as we just mentioned. It is southbound by exit 143B. Now, they're giving us a wide shot here from the traffic department. You can kind of see the haze. And so they're shooting the camera in the vicinity of where that brush fire is located. You can't really see it on cam, but you can kind of see the haze hanging over that area. So in fact, I think I may see it a little bit toward the right, the right third. You'll see this little cluster there in the right third by the tree line that looks like smoke. So that could be what we're talking about there. So we'll keep an eye on that and let you know. There's a disabled truck I-80 westbound by Minnesink Road right now. That is in Totowa, and the right lane is currently closed of the 4 lanes. I don't know if we have the camera shot, but not a major problem. But nonetheless, people are moving on I-80, trying to avoid that right lane, Minnesink Road in Totowa. Traffic signal down, Route 37 eastbound Colonial Drive in Manchester. And we have a building fire, 9W in Englewood Cliffs. Also a gas main break, Route 36 Middletown. And Hudson River crossings right now, Lincoln and Holland, both going to cost you 35 to 40. GWB upper and lower levels are moving, although they're starting to really build right now. You're talking about 40 to 45 minutes in upper level on the right, lower on the left. Quick check of LA. We just have 2 crashes to tell you about that we just got. One is at the it's at the just got updated. Let's do that again. Route 60 at Hacienda Boulevard off-ramp. That's in Santa Fe Springs. And we have a second collision. It's in Altadena on the 5 at 134. So there you go. 7:53 East Coast. President Trump ran on a promise of lowering gas prices. He said that would then lower the price of everything. Then we bombed Iran's nuclear facilities. None of it happened in terms of lowering prices. Gas is more expensive, although some people are telling us it's starting to drop a little. But people expected like $1.99 a gallon at this point. Let's talk to our dear friend Elizabeth Pran. She is News Nation's own, a journalist, a mom, a wife, a friend of ours, host of the Raising America podcast, too. She has a lot on her plate. Elizabeth's seen every week at this time here on Mornings. Good morning, my friend.
You know, Ken, when I heard Mike talk about gas prices, I recorded it on my phone. I'm going to head up to Shell after this and say, wait a second. I just filled up my gas guzzler, my mom mobile. I would like a $5 refund because gas expands in heat, and Georgia heat is extraordinary. But let's talk a little bit of right. Let's do it. You and me. We're going to protest. So when we look at this Iran conflict, and I think it's fascinating to watch. So we've covered it on Raising America, and we've seen it play out over the past 100 days, something we didn't anticipate. And I think you would agree that the U.S. the people aren't necessarily, pro-Iran or anti-Iran. It's how the U.S. should respond to Iran, if at all. So you also have divisions. It's not up and down party lines. It's where you live, your heritage, how old you are, how much social media you consume, and then also which political party you belong to, which we also, it's almost a plaid. Because you have divisions within the Republican Party, which we've witnessed play out in the midterms. Yes, of course, you have those who are falling up and down party lines who say we support military pressure, we support military action. And this is definitely more common on Republicans. They say Iran is a serious threat. And think of everything that comes with that, right? You think Hezbollah, you think Hamas, you think, the Houthis. We could go on and on about just what the quagmire of the Middle East. But then you also have Republicans who are more of an America first and maybe not necessarily someone who wants to see military action right away. How can we solve this problem? Put Americans first and not put boots on the ground or spend a lot of money so those gas prices don't go up. Then you have the Democratic candidates who we speak with and really people who say, we do not want a forever war. We do not want involvement. This could have been solved another way. And then you see even the House passing the War Powers Act. And fun fact, which you already know, and I'll quiz you here, when was the last time the United States was actually in a declared war?
World War II.
Right? World War II, right?
Yep.
So are they going to have progress? We have the House of Representatives who just passed, this was just days ago, it was at June 3rd, the War Powers Act, which for folks who may not know, you have the power of the purse with Congress, and you have the commander-in-chief. You and I can go on to say that the founding fathers were brilliant, and thank God we have these checks and balances. But we are already involved, and we've been involved in lots of conflicts in recent history that you and I can say that did involve the power of the purse without the approval of the power of the purse. That also has to go to the Senate. That also has to go to the president's desk. I think we know how that is going to end. Do we not?
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, it just fuels the fire of all the conspiracy theorist friends that I have saying this is just the military industrial complex trying to get rid of their old equipment and make room for new. I've heard this 100 times. Unfortunately, you have people's lives at stake on both sides, even on the Iran side. And remember, it's the Iranian people are really cool people. We all know Iranian Americans who are just like phenomenal people and super smart and gorgeous people. Not that has anything to do with, what's going on over there, but the fact that you have radical zealots running things right now, it just sickens me to the core that innocent people get killed in the process of stuff like this. Because just think of it in terms of here. Think about somebody bombing, God forbid, our area because they don't like the politicians, and innocent relatives of ours and friends get killed. So you always have to put it in that perspective, so you realize that war kind of sucks. And I think that's why part of me says that's why President Trump is not going for it full force, and he could right now. But I don't know. It's like there are other friends who are saying he should just either blank or get off the pot. Just do it or stop. But to keep lingering right now like he is not helping anyone. So what say you about that?
I would actually agree with that entirely. And we mentioned something about the Iranian people. And like you said, we've interviewed Iranian Americans. Yes, I'm vain, so I do also admire their beauty and their food and their culture. But there's also a divide within the country. We forget that you have, the IRGC, then you have innocent Americans, you have social media and web blackouts. So there is internal conflict. There's conflict everywhere you look. And so when you mention that you don't have this decisive action from the president, I think that is where we are sort of floating in abyss, and you only leave room for criticism. So if you look at maybe lawmakers, if we talk about that plaid, you've got, let's say, the Senator Lindsey Graham's, then you have maybe a Thomas Massey who has gone against the president and voted on the War Powers Act. That's been, he's received criticism. Then you have the Representative Nancy Mace, who just lost her bid for, making it to the runoffs in South Carolina. They all sort of represent a different response. And you don't see a huge group coalescing behind one of those responses, right? Everyone's sort of like, everybody wants to see the end result before they make a comment. And that is what I will say when I interview possible candidates across the country, is that they're speaking a line where they're either really hawkish or they're voting adamantly against it, or the Representative Nancy Mace, who is like, wait a second, I want more information before I give support for a president who I support, is that they're all towing the line because no one knows how this is going to end. Would you agree with that?
100%. And we could do a whole show on it. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. So I want to find out what's coming up on this week's Raising America podcast.
We're picking apart South Carolina. That's not necessarily a purple state. It's how red are we, right? Are we MAGA? Are we GOP, establishment, super conservative? So it's been really interesting. We watched that play out. We watched Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evitt win that race, and then Senator Lindsey Graham. But he did have a really far right wing businessman come out. His name is Mark Lynch. He had some fighting words on our show. I mean, you're dealing with someone from the South when they say "bless your heart," and that's a bad.
I made the mistake once about 10 years ago of not understanding that and having a conversation on air, doing a back and forth with Robin Roberts on ABC. And I said, "Bless your heart, Robin." And here were her eyes. And Robin, you can't get her to get upset. And I got her upset. She didn't talk to me for the longest time. Let's put it that way. I didn't mean it disrespectfully. I thought it meant God bless you. No, it doesn't. So don't do that. Journalist, mom and wife, host of the Raising America podcast, which you could find on YouTube, by the way, all the episodes, and they are fantastic. News Nation's Elizabeth Pran, we love you. Thank you for coming on this morning. Stay cool in very, very humid
bless
Georgia.
Our hearts, right?
Yes, bless our hearts, in the good way. Yes. Thank you, Elizabeth. Wow. Yeah, that was not a good time. I remember seeing Robin's face and it was like, Ken, we have to have a talk. All right. For those of you watching on LACA on the West Coast, stay tuned for your local news. If you're watching on New Jersey, we'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go away. Very good morning to you. 8:03 Thursday, June 11th, 2026. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. Meteorologist Mike Favetta telling us about some very hot weather into the low to mid 90s in New Jersey. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. It's already humid, it's already stifling, and it's going to get really hot this afternoon. So, with temperatures that reach the low and mid 90s, feeling like 95 to 100 later today, we're already almost at 80 degrees there in Newark. And with the temperature jumping 10 degrees from this time yesterday, that just goes to show how warm it is. The humidity, Miami levels of humidity. When the dew point is in the mid 70s, as is the case through Mount Holly, Camden, and Medford, oh, it is soupy outside, and it's going to stay very warm through this afternoon, helping to spark off a few thunderstorms because the sunshine that arrives through the course of the day really kicking that off. As soon as 3 o'clock this afternoon, you see 96 is our high temperature toward Newark, 100 in Trenton. Then we get the storms that come through after 4 and 5 o'clock. Those potentially could be severe, but a better chance of severe weather is tomorrow, where it's even hotter, 98 degrees in Newark tomorrow afternoon, 100 in Camden and Trenton, and you can see just how numerous those storms are to wrap up your Friday evening. It's not as humid on Sunday, or Saturday rather, it's a little bit drier, but the heat and humidity returns for Sunday. With this front, we get another round of storms, but this time it cools us off a little bit into Monday, cooling us back down to average temperatures by next week. So we start our first day today in the 90s, but stay there in through Saturday and Sunday, a 4-day heat wave on the way, taking us right through the end of the week. We'll tell you all about it and how next week's weather looks, Ken, coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Mike, appreciate it. 74 degrees right now, northern New Jersey, 75 in Trenton. It's 70 in Cape May. That's the cool spot. Usually that's like 10 degrees cooler, and it's still 70 and sticky, just to give you an idea of how hot it is, as Mike was saying. Quick traffic check for you. We have an issue on I-80, a disabled truck westbound at exit 54, Minnesink Road in Totowa. The right lane is closed. So you see on the left side of your screen, the people in the right lane there, as they approach that issue, they have to get over. So that's why there's that long line of traffic right now. I-80 disabled truck again, westbound at exit 54. We have a crash on the turnpike southbound, south of interchange 4, Mount Laurel. All lanes are open. Over to 37, traffic signal down. Eastbound Colonial Drive, Manchester, all lanes open. Building fire 9W, both directions, Palisade Avenue, Englewood Cliffs, all lanes closed. And a gas main break now 36. And that is impacting traffic southbound at Route 4, Palmer Ave in Middletown. The right lane is closed there. Hudson River crossings, Lincoln and Holland, both 40 minutes. GWB upper and lower levels. Take a look. You'll see the upper level on the right, lower on the left. And this is a solid 45 to 50 minutes. You can see no motion right now. Good luck getting in. It is 6 minutes after 8 o'clock. As AI becomes more powerful, many people are asking an important question. What role will you and I play in an increasingly automated world? Well, Nitin Seth is the CEO of New Jersey-based Incedo and the author of Human Edge in the AI Age. It's a new book that explores how creativity, leadership, adaptability, and purpose can help people thrive in a rapidly changing world. Nitin, welcome to On New Jersey. Good to have you on.
Good morning, Ken. Great to be here.
You bet. Well, tell us about your connection to New Jersey and the work Incedo is doing from its New Jersey headquarters.
Yeah, I'm a New Jersey resident. I stay in Short Hills, and the company is based out of Florham Park, New Jersey. So this is where we are. This is where our clients are. This is where a lot of our employees are. So New Jersey is both home and business for us.
Yeah, I love, by the way, I lived briefly in Florham Park, one of the most beautiful communities. My gosh, what a lovely, lovely place. You got the college right there and great residences to live in for people looking for a place to move. What inspired you to write Human Edge in the AI Age right now? Why does it matter right now for people?
And this is my third book. So, my first two books were on digital and data. So it was somewhat obvious that my third book will be on AI. But my first two books were on business and technology. And this is different. This is about us. This is about humans, And the reason is that as I began to reflect on AI and also look at the work we were doing with our clients, I realized that AI may seem like technology, but this is not another technology trend. If you have to compare it with something, you have to compare it not with cloud or or internet, you have to compare it with, fire or wheel or electricity. It is that order of magnitude. It's kind of like an inflection point for us in our journey as humans. In many ways, AI is becoming more human than humans, and that poses some pretty fundamental questions about us, that what does it mean for us as humans and where do we go? And that's really, what kind of prompted me to focus on the human aspect as opposed to the technology.
That's a fascinating analogy, that it's like comparing to fire or the wheel, and it's that significant and core to our existence. When you think about, and many people have postured that you can take the contents of a human brain at some point and put it into AI. Now, does the AI become the human? If it predicts and functions and responds the way a human brain is in terms of the chemistry that we have, then is it not human? Because if you know what I'm saying? So obviously this is, you have people, moralists talking about this and theorists talking about this, and this is a debate that'll go on and on. But yeah, it brings the bigger questions of why are we here then? You argue in the book that AI, of course, will impact and change pretty much everything. So what are the biggest changes you see right now? And then what do you see a year or two from now? Because it seems that it's getting exponentially more rapid.
Yeah, it's moving faster than any one of us could have imagined. So look, what's already happening with AI is, automation not of tasks, but of decisions and maybe thought itself. And what it is, it is resulting in is maybe change in jobs, which are, every job is getting impacted in some fashion, and which is not maybe what we have seen as blue collar jobs, but knowledge jobs, knowledge worker jobs. So I think that is certainly, something that is happening, but it is also amplifying us in tremendous ways. There is, as humans, we are able to do a lot more. So today, I think we have the phenomena that I call human in the loop, that AI and humans are kind of, it's like a tango, it's like a duet. We are kind of trying to size each other up. AI is constantly growing, and as humans, we're trying to catch up. But I think, your question was 2 years into the future. 2 years into the future, I think we are going to see a more exaggerated kind of, situation, where I think there will be some humans which will be human, what I call humans above the loop, which will be ahead of AI, which will be setting direction, which will be shaping the work. And there may be some, which may get left behind. So I think there is a duality to AI. It's not all good, it's not all bad, but it is certainly, what is for sure is that it's going to have a very, very significant impact.
Well, when you think about what humans do, we take the entirety of our base of knowledge and we make decisions and form opinions based on that. And AI can certainly, if you look at it in the broader scheme, AI can do that more effectively because AI has a limitless ability to look at everything, all the amassed knowledge of the universe. And ultimately, depending on how large a computer we're talking about or a base of computers, can make decisions based on that. So while you said that in 2 years we'll still have those few people above the loop, how long will that last? Because AI is growing exponentially. So that's the thing. It's all based on the information that's there, right? So whatever's on the internet, that's what AI is going to have access to and will formulate its decisions. But it is a little bit unnerving, to say the least. And one of your key ideas is that we're entering what you call the era of entrepreneurs. So what does that mean for everyday workers and professionals? We have 1 minute left, so I'd love to hear about that.
AI is, I just want to make it very clear that AI is not just about, it's going to take over the world. See, AI is going to change, it is going to disrupt industries. And I think that's a great opportunity to create. And AI is making creation much easier and lower cost. So if you are like a large incumbent enterprise, maybe there is stuff to worry. But if you're an entrepreneur, and that doesn't just mean a startup, but you are an entrepreneur within a large enterprise, it's a huge opportunity to create. Because there is so much change that will happen, and change is an opportunity, and a change is an opportunity to leapfrog. And that's why I say that, yeah, there is a duality to AI. It might impact jobs, but at the same time, on the positive side, I think it is going to create tremendous opportunities for creation, and that's the opportunity for entrepreneurs.
You are amazingly brilliant yourself, sir, and we appreciate you coming on. And what is a website so people can get the book or get more information?
So, of course, it's available on Amazon, but, Human Edge and the AIage.com, the website is also there. But yeah, it's very much available on Amazon.com.
Beautiful. The book is called Human Edge in the AI Age. Human Edge in the AI Age. Nitin Seth, author and CEO of New Jersey-based Incedo. Thank you for coming on this morning. Thanks for being a great New Jersey businessman, too. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Ken. Pleasure to be
Thank
here.
you. You bet. Our pleasure. It is now 8:13. It's already a sticky 73 degrees northern New Jersey. When we come back, we'll speak with a doctor who is helping young adults on the autism spectrum build job skills, confidence, and greater independence. We're back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, 816, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Go to meteorologist Mike Favetta. You could feel the stickies right now, Mike. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sticky just sitting here. I could feel sticky all over the place. It's
You
kind
can
of
hear
gross.
the air conditioners humming.
Let me rewind that. I didn't say that.
Okay.
It just feels uncomfortable. How about that? That's a
I,
better
I knew
thing to
what you were
say.
going with. I knew what you were going with. But it's the buzz and the hum of the air conditioners all throughout this week, at least through tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday as the temperature really heats up. Now, air conditioning worked rather efficiently overnight because it was nice and humid and the temperature wasn't terribly hot. But later today, it's going to be working hard. 102 is the forecast heat index at 3 o'clock in Newark and 103 tomorrow in Trenton and down in Medford and Camden. So very hot weather throughout the next few days. The humidity drops for Saturday, meaning it's still going to be hot with air temperatures up around 90 degrees, but it won't be terribly humid. So more comfortable weather on the way for this weekend, even though the temperature remains a bit above average. And then by Monday, we see that number drop down into the 70s. So a little bit of relief on the way. It's not this prolonged heat that just goes on and on and on. It'll actually cool off just a little bit just in time for next week. UV index of an 8, which is very high today. Have a lot of sunshine around. First round of storms comes through this afternoon and this evening. This is for tomorrow, and that will give us another round of wet weather, potentially severe even, not just today, but also tomorrow. Tomorrow might even have a bit more of a severe component because it comes through with a cold front. Here are the storms later today, lining up north to south right along New Jersey, giving us our threat of severe weather. You know, the usual, the strong to severe winds, small hail potentially, and of course lightning. But lightning does not necessarily make a storm severe. As we head into Friday, there will be another round of storms tomorrow afternoon. When that clears, beautiful Saturday weather ahead, but Sunday evening has our next line of storms that comes through. And when that pushes out, that gives us a clearing and a cooler feel as we head into Monday. Speaking of next week, the long-range futurecast has a cooler feel around. I think we're dry Monday and Tuesday, and then maybe by Wednesday pick up some more wet weather on the way as some more systems kind of head toward the northeast going into early next week. So hot weather this weekend, but not necessarily as humid. Late day storms wrap up the weekend by Sunday afternoon, Ken.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. 18 minutes past 8 o'clock right now. We have a temperature of 74 degrees northern New Jersey, 75 in Trenton. It's 69 still in Cape May, 72 in Vineland. And at 8:19, we have a couple of traffic issues to tell you about. On I-80 right now, there's a disabled truck westbound, west of exit 58, Madison Avenue in Patterson. So that's the oncoming traffic that you're looking at right now. And that is impacting the right lane of 4 lanes. So as those, you can see the folks trying to get out of the right lane and over to the left 3 lanes. See the car going in right now? So that's what's happening as they approach that. So the crash that we have is just behind the camera where it says mornings. As they get into that area, that's where it's happening. New Jersey Turnpike, we have a crash in a vehicle off the roadway, and that is southbound south of interchange 4, Route 73, Mount Laurel. All lanes are open, though. 9W, we have a building fire southbound south of Closter Dock Road to Hillside Avenue in Alpine. All lanes are closed. That's been a mess for much of the morning now because of that earlier fire. There is a crash on 17 southbound, south of the Garden State Parkway, Paramus. I think we do have a camera shot, so you can see the vehicles going away from the camera right now, impacted by that. And that is closing the right lane ultimately, and that is in Paramus. Building fire, they gave us 2 reports of that building fire in Englewood Cliffs. That's by 9W, but it's impacting traffic for several miles on 9W. Just a mess. Route 36, gas main break, 36 southbound, south to Palmer Avenue, Middletown. Right lane is currently closed, and your approaches to the Hudson River. The Holland Tunnel, still a mess. It's been pretty heavy all morning long with about 40 minutes in. You can see the vehicles way on the right of your screen. It looks like they're parked. They're not. They're in 3 lanes trying to get to the Holland Tunnel. Okay, they're moving a little now. That's good news. But we're told it's a solid 40 minutes in right now. To the Lincoln Tunnel, the 495 approach by the Helix, that is about 40 minutes. GWB upper and lower levels look packed, but they're actually moving better than either the Holland or the Lincoln with about 35 minutes in. Upper level on the right, lower is going to give you a little better ride there on the left side. It is 8:21. As more employers embrace workplace inclusion, there's growing recognition of the value that neurodiverse individuals bring to schools, workplaces, and communities. Our next guest is helping young adults on the autism spectrum to build job skills and confidence and greater independence through research and real-world support programs. Joining us now is Dr. Helen Genova, who is the Associate Director of the Center for Autism Research at the Kessler Foundation. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, Ken. It's so nice to be here.
Nice to have you on. And tell us about your role at the Kessler Foundation and the work being done through the Center for Autism Research.
Sure. So I'm the Associate Director of the Center for Autism Research, and all the work that I do is really on trying to help individuals who are neurodivergent or who have an autism spectrum disorder diagnosis to achieve their goals. We focus a lot on employment. That is one of the big goals that many people have as they transition from adolescence to adulthood. And it's also something that can be quite difficult for people on the spectrum. And so we help them achieve that goal by working on things like job interview skills or coping skills that may be needed when they actually have a job.
It's so nice to see that employers are now opening their minds and their hearts and realizing that people who are on the spectrum can be phenomenal employees like anybody else. There's good and bad with every group. I was just in LA recently, in fact, in the famous In-N-Out Burger In-N-Out Burger makes it a point to have a number of neurodiverse people on all their shifts. And so I encountered two people who were just fantastic. They were just excellent at what they did, and they did it beautifully. We hear the term neurodiversity more and more today. So neurodiversity can apply to a number of things in the spectrum, right? So why don't you talk about that for when we hear neurodiverse?
Yeah, so neurodiversity is a term that basically just acknowledges that there are many different ways that the brain can express itself. And I'm a neuroscientist, and so studying the brain is something that I've been doing for a long time. And, whereas we used to think there was like the right way or the normal way for a brain to work, and that people who didn't fit into that right way were wrong or atypical. The word neurodiverse and neurodivergent just really indicates that there are many different ways that the brain can work, and that some people, for example, people who have an autism spectrum diagnosis, their brains can work quite differently than ours. But that doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that it's different. And as you said, there are individuals who have autism who are just brilliant and amazing employees and employers. I mean, there's no limit to what they can do. And so it's really the term neurodiversity just acknowledges that and kind of celebrates that as well.
When I was younger, I'm 59 years old, a lot of people were not diagnosed yet with neurodiversity of any kind and autism and the spectrum. It was relatively new in terms of, and it was hard to diagnose as well. I remember, people were called quirky, right? People were called different. I had a friend of mine from high school who never looked you in the eye and never smiled. Nicest guy, just never smiled, never looked at you. Yet he ended up a lawyer, CFP, and CPA. Unbelievably brilliant. Married, father, etc. But now I look back and I wonder, was he on the spectrum? He may very well have been to be brilliant, but yet socially different. Is that the case? I mean, that's one example of what could be, right? Somebody, I know there's more to diagnosing than that, but could that be an example of somebody who might be on the spectrum?
Yeah. So the key word there is spectrum. So in spectrum can mean the different ways that autism expresses itself. So there are social communication differences. So you may have someone, as you said, who eye contact is very difficult for them, taking turns in conversations. So for example, you see someone wanting to talk about their interests and then maybe not always giving the turn to the other person in a way that's expected. So that's an example and what you highlighted. But then, as I said, it's a spectrum. So you may have some individuals who are nonverbal, right? And so they don't speak at all, but they have abilities in other ways. So it's just so interesting how it can express itself in such a number of ways. And we try very hard to have each person kind of identify what are the strengths that they bring to the table and then talk about those things to a future employer. It's one of the things that we focus on is trying to find someone and help them understand what is so special about them, and then to talk about those things to a job interviewer, for example.
Doctor, what is KF Stride and how does it help young adults prepare for the workforce?
Sure. So we started to see that job interviews were a real difficulty for people. So you may have someone who could be an amazing employee, sorry. And when they get on the job interview, things kind of fall apart, because if you think about the job interview, it's a social exchange. So people are taking turns and answering questions, and it does take some strategy, right? So you need to know what information to put forward, what information to kind of hold back and not talk about. And what we found was that kids on the spectrum don't always know how to do that. So for example, they may come on the job interview and want to talk about something like a hobby of theirs, when the employer isn't necessarily interested in that. So we created this program called KF Stride, which stands for Kessler Foundation Strength, Identification, and Expression. And it's a series of animated videos. We tried to make it really fun and engaging. So everything is animated. It's a cartoon character who basically walks you through the lessons, way more interesting and fun than a teacher telling you this stuff or having to read it in a book. And we teach a number of strategies, helping them find out what their strengths are, and then helping them practice talking about them to an employer in a socially expected or appropriate way. And we have found in our research that it can be really effective in improving confidence, improving job interview skills, and potentially even improving employment. So we've been really excited about that.
That's fascinating. Tell us a website, doctor, for more information,
Yeah,
please.
absolutely. So it's www.kfstride.org.
I love it. Dr. Helen Genova. Yes, I hope everybody opens their minds. And by the way, too many people have misconceptions about what autism is and who autistic people are. And I think people would be shocked to find out how many people around them are somewhere on the spectrum. And, get rid of your misconceptions because all of them are wrong. They're all wrong,
Yes.
as I've learned over the years. And you're laughing because you know it's true. Obviously, this is what you do. Dr. Helen Genova, Associate Director of the Center for Autism Research at Kessler Foundation. You are an amazing person. Thank you for what you do. And thank you so much for coming on this morning. Please come back. This is such a great topic, and we need to keep talking about it.
Thank you, Ken. It was lovely being here.
Likewise, doctor. Thank you. It is 8:28. When we come back, a Manhattan hotspot restaurant has a new location in Jersey City. What a great city Jersey City is. We're going to talk with the co-founders of Gnocchi on 9th. The phone lines are open too. We'll take calls at 888-658-0234. And we got a hot, humid day today. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the details in 2 minutes. Very good morning. It is Thursday, June 11th, 2026, 76 degrees already at 8:30, June 11th, 2026. So we're not quite at summer, but it feels like it. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Meteorologist Mike Favetta. We started to talk about the expansion of gas. So when you talked about the fact that you don't get the amount of gas you're paying for because of the temperature right now, does that mean that does gas just turn into a gasoline, does it turn into a gas from the liquid form? Is that why you're paying for more and not getting it all? Or is it just
No, it
physically
expands.
expanding?
The volume
So,
expands by 1%. So we're talking like, a couple cents for the whole tank, but it's still something. I mean, if everybody pinch and penny these days, you go to fill up your tank, it makes a difference, right? So
so
that's all I'm talking
we
about.
should all show up with signs and demand that they lower us at least a nickel.
Yes. Well, you get a nice fancy cuff, nice fancy bracelets if you do that, courtesy of the
Yeah,
local authorities. But
exactly.
regarding the Yeah, regarding the weather today, Ken, you're just going to keep the air conditioning on blast going into this afternoon, especially driving around New Jersey. Some clouds around right now, but it's the high humidity and heat that will keep people, I think, away from the hottest part of the day. Even down toward the beaches, a little bit of a southeasterly breeze, not doing much to prevent the hot weather from reaching there. With that breeze, primarily from the south and west, it's pushing in hot, humid weather. It's also keeping the pollen levels a bit high for the weeds and grasses even. And with today's record of 96 degrees, have a chance of tying that, especially up in Newark where the temperature is forecast to reach the upper 90s. So a couple clouds around right now, but with the beach temperatures and the water temperatures toward the beach is already climbing to 70. It's warming quickly, even down the shore. So with the bright shade of yellow with the severe weather outlook today and tomorrow, the slight risk, I think we may go to orange tomorrow, which is level 3 of 5. That's the enhanced risk because of the cold front that comes through, tending to give us a little bit more of that punch in the atmosphere that could give us a higher chance of rain and severe weather. Saturday is beautiful and dry. Sunday late in the day may have some rain chances too. So over the next few days, we have today, which has our first chance of wet weather with the storms that later on in the afternoon, the gusty winds, the thunder and lightning, even some small hail possible. Tomorrow, better chance of seeing more widespread severe weather, but Saturday is gorgeous, quiet, dry, still hot, but not humid. And then Sunday afternoon, later in the day, that's our next chance of some storms finally clearing and giving us a little bit of a cool down on the way. So 4 days of 90+ degree heat beginning today, lasting through Sunday. And then by Monday, we see a little bit of a cool down. Temperatures moderate back into the low 80s, and even overnight lows are in the 60s. So it'll feel much more pleasant by then. Beach locations start to see some relief as soon as Saturday, Ken.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Relief, relief. We like relief.
Mhm.
Just in time for the beginning of FIFA on Saturday. Perfect, sir. 8:34. We appreciate you. It's 75 degrees now, northern New Jersey. 75 in Trenton. 72 degrees in Cape May. In terms of traffic, we have a lot of it. Let's go over to the Garden State Parkway. We have a disabled vehicle now. The Garden State Parkway, northbound, south of exit 130BA. That's by US 1 Woodbridge. The left lane is blocked. You can see things are starting to slow down as people approach that area. We have a problem on the Jersey Turnpike, actually two. One is further south, vehicle off the roadway, southbound, south of interchange 4, Route 73, Mount Laurel. All lanes are open there, though. We come up a little further north. There is debris, or as my friends say, debris on the New Jersey Turnpike outer roadway, northbound, south of interchange 12, Carteret Railway and Carteret. All lanes are open. It's apparently tire debris. So a truck, sometimes of their 20 tires, they blow a tire, and it's all over the roadway right now. Route 36, we have a gas main break. Southbound, south of Route 4, Palmer Ave in Middletown with the right lane closed. And we have a problem on 9W with a building fire that's been impacting traffic in the area. Both lanes, actually, Palisades Avenue, Englewood Cliffs, all lanes closed. And this has been going on since about 5 o'clock this morning. The Hudson River crossings, Lincoln and Holland, are both a solid 40 minutes in. GWB upper and lower levels heavy, but moving. You could see about 40 minutes to 45 minutes in, upper level on the right, lower level on the left. It is 8:35. New York's popular gnocchi on 9th. Yes, it is not ganache. It is gnocchi. When you have a GN, gnocchi, gnocchi, gnocchi. I could see the owners were about to bring on smiling there. Gnocchi on 9th. It is officially crossing the Hudson, or has, and it's opened its first location outside of the city in Jersey City, known for its handcrafted gnocchi, creative sauces, and fast casual approach to a classic Italian favorite. My grandmother is from Emilia-Romagna in northern Italy. Used to make gnocchi 3 times a week, for gosh sakes. I make it with my eyes closed. It's delicious. The restaurant has built a loyal following, and joining us now are co-founders Michael Salzano and Ariel Stritzauer to talk about the expansion and what's next for the growing brand. All right, let me say good morning and welcome first. And which of you first had gnocchi and when? Tell me about your first gnocchi experiences.
Ariel, was it you or me? Because I am the Italian.
It would have to be Mike. He's the Italian. I probably got on the bandwagon a little later.
And it's for those who don't realize, real gnocchi, let me just, and I'll make a statement that's going to be controversial. Real gnocchi is not made with ricotta. That is a nudie. I'm sorry, although it is delicious and it's easier to make. Gnocchi is made with potato, right? It's potato and flour, and that's gnocchi. Now I bow to you, gentlemen. Let's start with, why was Jersey City the right place for your expansion outside of New York City?
Well, I actually live in Jersey City. I live in the Heights. It's, my family's has roots there, and we just chose Jersey City over Hoboken because of that. And it's also just more, it feels more of a community, kind of tight knit. And I was familiar with the city a little bit more than Hoboken. So
And it is a fantastic city. And you get your taste of New York by seeing it, but it's a beautiful, vibrant city, Jersey City, and there's a big, great restaurant scene. Gnocchi on Ninth in the city, you guys are kicking ass. You are just knocking it out of the park. I know so many people who've gone there. Having worked in the city for 25 years, I try to avoid Manhattan. I try to escape to New Jersey, but your restaurant is just doing great. For those who've never been and want to go check it out, tell us how the concept got started. What made you say, hey, let's do a restaurant focusing on gnocchi?
Well, Mike and I were, well, I guess I was Mike's client before we went into business together. So Mike was in commercial real estate, and I was looking to do some sort of restaurant venture of my own. So we were just taking a tour of New York City looking for spots, and somehow he raised this idea of a to-go pasta store, and it was something that had been thinking about. So we just detoured, spent the rest of the day trying to find a spot downtown Manhattan that would work, and everything just started moving super quickly. And within 5 or 6 weeks, we had the first location open, and it was just off to the races from there. And 26 months later, we've just opened number 10 in Jersey City, which just felt like the first place we needed to be out of Manhattan, because Jersey City is really just an extension of New York. And I think also a lot of people were already familiar with us right across the Hudson.
I was going to say, don't tell that to the mayor of Jersey City, but yeah, it kind of is. It kind of is, especially post 9/11. That's when you saw
Yeah.
the expansion come to Jersey City. Everybody wanted to get out of what was happening in Manhattan. But to make that many restaurants be successful in New York, where the cost of doing business is prohibitive for most, says a
It's
lot
the
about you as business people and restaurateurs and how good your product is. Talk about what makes your gnocchi different from what people might find at a traditional Italian restaurant.
well, it's basically the way it's served. So we serve it in a Chinese takeout box. It's made to be very approachable and affordable. When you look at other restaurants, because they offer this huge sit down experience where the centerpiece is the restaurant and the experience they're providing. The experience that we provide is more of you get in, you get your gnocchi, you get out, and you go about your day. So that's really what the biggest difference is. It's not necessarily we're not serving the best gnocchi in the world here. We're not trying to change the world with gnocchi, but what we are doing is we're providing you a meal that, is like a slice of pizza, is like getting a bagel, but is in a pasta form. And the whole thing of the affordability and portability of this is what I think led to its success.
And that's how it started in Italy, if you think about it. It was for poor people, right? It was potatoes and a little flour mixed together with a little water, and they made a dumpling because gnocchi is really where pasta meets dumpling, right? And so the idea that you put it in a takeout, a Chinese takeout,
Correct.
is brilliant because that's really what it is. It's a dumpling, just like a Chinese dumpling. In fact, probably I'm sure someone will say, it was brought back from China when they went to China, they brought it back. Maybe, could be. So what are the first few weeks in Jersey City been like? What kind of response have you gotten in the community?
The first few weeks in Jersey have been great. We didn't know what to expect. We definitely had some doubts about what the recognition would be like in the reception when we opened, but immediately on day one, it blew us away. We had people showing up before we opened. There was a line nonstop all day for the whole first week, the weekend. It was madness. We weren't ready for it. It was a very tough week, but for a good reason. We were caught off guard, and since then it's been doing really well in the neighborhood, and the whole community seems happy to have us there.
As they say,
We
first
haven't
world
had
problems.
Yeah.
yes, yes. We
Go
haven't
ahead,
had
please continue.
a store that busy since Ninth Street first went viral. It was a very great reception from the city. I'm glad that everybody was happy to have us there and stuff like that. And we were totally caught off guard because we we some people were very upset with how they had to wait in the first couple of days. because we didn't know that we needed that much staff or how much volume we were going to do there. It was everybody was very happy about it.
Wow. So for somebody who's thinking about opening a business, speaking as experienced entrepreneurs as you are, we're down to a minute here. So just what would you tell people? What's the ingredient, if you will, to being a successful business?
I think if you have an idea that you believe in, you got to just do it. I think it's too easy to have an idea and look at all the fears and what could potentially go wrong and never make the leap. And Mike and I would be lying if we said we had a grand master plan. We just jumped in and it could have been the dumbest decision we ever made, and we ended up getting lucky. I think if you surround
I'm
yourself with
glad.
and you have a good
I'm
product,
glad.
then you
Being
can
in it,
do
and
it.
I don't mean to step on it just because we're going to hit a hard break here in a
Yes.
second. But I love you guys so much. I love the fact that you took a product as humble as gnocchi and you raised it to glory and made it like a street food type thing. And it's a great thing to eat. You guys are kicking butt, and I just see you having another 100 locations soon enough. Please come back and keep us updated on the future locations.
Come
All the
visit us in
best to the
Jersey
Jersey
City.
City. Oh, hell yeah. You're going to see me. You're going to get tired of me. I promise you. So we wish you the absolute best. Again, please come back and let us know as you continue opening. You guys are great. Gnocchi on Ninth, now in Jersey City. Co-founders Michael Salzano and Ariel Strazauer. Best of luck with the new location, and thanks for coming on
Thank
this
you,
morning.
Ken. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Ken.
You bet. I love that. It makes my heart pound well to know that gnocchi is out there and these guys are doing it the right way. It is 8:44 right now. When we come back, more families face difficult decisions about long-term care, and some are raising concerns about the paperwork residents are asked to sign when entering nursing homes. Our friends from AARP New Jersey will be here to talk about it. We're back in 2. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Ken Rosato at 8:46, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, who's had a gnocco or two in his life. When you hear about gnocchi on Ninth, my God, is your stomach rumbling like mine? The first thing I'm going to do upstairs now is go make gnocchi.
Sounds incredible. It's making me hungry just to think of the little pillowy, delicious bites that you can have
And
on a hot day
and by
today.
the way, if you want to cheat, you can do nudi. You know, nudi are just gnocchi. Instead of potatoes, you substitute ricotta, which is great because ricotta stays moist. if you're not careful with your potatoes, you're gonna end up with a lumpy, hard, nasty little gnocchi nuggets, and they're
Mhm.
nasty. But if you do it with ricotta, just don't make sure it's not too wet. You do it with ricotta, it stays pillowy. Problem is that's
Question:
technically not a gnocco.
do
Yes.
you bake or boil the potatoes when preparing them?
That's a good question. Grandma would
Ah.
always say, if you boil the potatoes, you have to leave the skin on. Otherwise, what? The potato gets waterlogged, and then that's
Mhm.
too wet, and then you end up adding too much flour and you get gummy gnocchi. So there you go. But baking, you also have the risk of making them too dry. So but baking, a lot of people I know only bake the potato to prevent that
Mm.
waterlogging.
Mhm.
So there you have it. What do
Yep.
you guys do?
I started boiling. That was tradition from what I learned, and then I kind of transitioned to baking to give it a
Yeah.
little more flavor.
My mother uses the microwave. She uses the microwave. Yep. There you go. And it doesn't
Yet I'm sure it
waterlog and
comes out great.
it doesn't
Hmm.
overcook. And it's
Right.
her gnocchi are just I can't even emulate them. They're that good. I cheat and I
Yeah.
use ricotta. I'm sorry, I'm taking too much of your time. Forgive me,
It's okay.
Mike.
I've experiment with the eggplant gnocchi too, because you can do any vegetable starch. You got to dry it. Roast eggplant, and then that becomes your starch base for the gnocchi. Oh, it is life changing. Uh-huh.
I gotta go. I'm gonna do it.
Give it a shot.
Bye.
Give it a shot. Just be sure to peel the eggplant. It gets a little bitter on the skin. Okay. Anyway, getting back to weather as we work through our chef inquiries. Very dry weather across most of northern New Jersey. We're still in that 1 to 2 inch rainfall deficit. Now expanding into interior sections of Ocean County. So that drought has worsened in the last day. Comes out every morning from the U.S. Hydrological Service. You can see right there with that severe drought extending all the way up into Bergen County and the extreme drought now taking over across all of Cape May County and portions of Cumberland County. So that drought not getting better, it's getting worse. And even though we have some rain chances, it's not a good soaking rain. I mean, at this point, it's going to take a good tropical storm to give us enough rainfall to put a dent in that drought. Not just the increasing chances of rain that are forecast right through the end of the month, at least up until the last week there, with that wet weather on the way. A couple days, every few days, we get a good chance. But the heat remains for most of the southeast here in New Jersey. I think we stay average heat. And that's what happens after the weekend. We finish up our weekend with the 90+ degree heat and then back to 80s come Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Even through the end of next week, temperatures holding in the upper 80s. I think early on next week, we'll see a little bit of a relief as well toward the beaches with high temperatures this weekend at the beach, moderating only into the 80s by Saturday. So you get some great beach weather ahead Saturday and Sunday. Just keep an eye to the sky Sunday afternoon. That's when some storms return.
Deal. Thank you, sir. 76 degrees. And this segment is brought to you by our friends at AARP New Jersey. As more families face difficult decisions about long-term care, advocates are raising concerns about the paperwork that many residents are asked to sign when entering nursing homes, often during stressful or medically vulnerable moments. Gail Smith has lived through that experience herself, and now she's speaking out to help protect other residents and push for stronger consumer safeguards in nursing home admission agreements. Joining us now again, Gail Smith, nursing home resident and advocate. We say good morning and welcome to you, Gail.
Good morning, Ken. Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you on. And I speak now with a mother who's 87, a father who's 95. And we've had them both in nursing home rehabs, but within the nursing home environment several times in the last year and a half. And I've seen the environment and I've heard the stories now from people there at the various nursing homes. First, let's ask, how long have you been in a nursing home? And tell us about the experience when you had to come in and sign the paperwork.
I've been in 2 nursing homes for 5 years now. The paperwork is ominous. It's very long and difficult to read through. Um, Unfortunately, at the first nursing home, they didn't have me sign the agreement until I was sick and heading for the hospital. I was delirious and didn't know my own name. My signature looked like a tumbleweed, and I didn't
Mm.
remember signing it at all.
And that paperwork, you sign away a lot of rights in that paperwork, don't you?
Well, you get rights too. it's hard to describe everything that's in a contract, but you have to be careful that they don't force you to sign an arbitration agreement, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It was offered to me at one place, and I didn't understand the difference between a trial in court and an arbitration hearing. I found out later that they tend to favor the corporations, and there's no
Mm-hmm.
appeal process with that. So that's not exactly what you want if you're having a severe problem with your nursing home.
Right. And just so that people know just the basics, and I'm not an attorney, but the basic concept is an arbitration is much less expensive than a court hearing because it's usually done, the arbitrator is usually a fellow lawyer, not a judge. And with an arbitrator or an arbitration, it's usually all or nothing. So if you go to an arbitration, they call it binding arbitration, it's usually all for one side or all for the other, whereas court, you could be kind of awarded a partial judgment. So that's why I think corporations prefer that. It's less expensive, and it's harder to win 100% of anything. So that's obviously why I would assume they would want that. Now, you shared that you were asked to sign that admission paperwork when you were medicated. Did you talk to them later about that and say, you know, why when I was so medicated and not doing well mentally did you make me sign that?
I didn't ask them any questions, but I told them that it was not legal and warned them that they should not be doing that. I was a
Mhm.
legal secretary, so I have a little bit of a background in law, and normally I would read the entire contract. People started saying, your contract, this, that. I said, I don't have a contract.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really unfair. And it's not like you were coming in with other people, I'm assuming, right? You didn't have relatives who were with you. This was all you.
Correct.
Wow. And when you look back later, were there things in those agreements that really concern you in retrospect that would have made you not sign?
No, I would have signed it anyway, but we didn't exactly know what to ask a facility when we went in. And now I have a lot of suggestions.
Hmm.
Um, First, you can contact the long-term care ombudsman about a contract. And I'm part of a group of New Jersey Nursing Home Residents United. And you can speak to residents who have lived through these experiences for years. You
Hmm.
know, I suggest taking a tour. They'll give you a tour, but they'll show you their best room that you might not necessarily be getting. So ask for a second room. Um, Ask to taste the food. Don't just look at the menu because what's in writing can look fancier than what is actually served.
Hmm.
You also want to have roommate compatibility. It's very important. Are you used to a very quiet environment with no media, lights out, sleeping in the dark early, or do you like to stay up late?
Hmm.
Um, are you a clean person or more relaxed? Um, I would visit a facility more than once. I'd make a second trip that was unannounced. Maybe
Yeah.
go on the weekend when there's less staff and see what it's like and talk to the residents. You can ask to speak to the resident council. There's a vice president and president usually. Ask to see their meeting minutes for a couple of months. Look them over. See what people are complaining
Hmm.
about or admiring about the facility. And then there's a federal list of residents' rights. It's 4 pages long. But we have found that they don't offer all the rights. You
Hmm.
have to know what they are and fight for them. Hmm.
Now, one thing that we've seen, and this is in my own family too, you go to different nursing homes, sometimes you see one nurse on the floor or two nurses on the floor, and there might be 20 residents. And if you need help or you need something, it's hard to get anybody to come. And yet these nursing homes charge an awful lot of money, whether you're paying out of pocket or you're paying via Medicaid or Medicare, et cetera. They're not cheap, as you can well attest, I'm sure. So, how do you spot? Do you just ask the other residents, do you think there's enough care here? Because you might, like you said, you might be there on a Tuesday and you might see 5 people on the floor, and then on a Saturday, you might see one.
There's a report on the front desk, legally has to be there, that says how many residents a certified nurse assistant is taking care of for the day. Our state law says for the first shift, it has to be only 8 residents.
Interesting. I did not know that at all. I said my relatives are in New York State, but I'm sure it's quite similar there. And if you could leave
Mhm.
any message for families who want to look around at different nursing homes before signing nursing home paperwork for themselves or a loved one, what advice would you give? Is there one piece of advice?
For me, I start with prayer. God can lead you to the right place, and think about what you would like. You don't get to take a lot of possessions with you. You're going to be probably sharing a room, but good things can happen there too. The activities departments vary from one to the other, but they can provide a good time, or you can make your own entertainment and fun, which I tend to do a lot.
Good for you. Well, I'm glad you're being such a great advocate, nursing home resident and advocate Gail Smith. Thank you for coming on this morning. God bless you. And I hope you wish for you nothing but joy and good health there.
Thank you so much, Ken. It's good to see you.
Likewise. And that's our New Jersey Mornings. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.